Has anyone ever explained to you why we train on low stances in karate, and how does that relate to sparring or actual fighting, or even MMA? If not, you'd have to watch my previous KihonMechanics video. Has anyone ever explained to you how practicing stepping forward and stepping back on low stances, just like how you see in Kata, have any practical applications to sparring or actual fighting or even MMA? This video will explain that to you. Please like and subscribe. But before moving on, I would like to reiterate how I was inspired by the Karate Nerd meets Wonderboy video.
And for that, please watch my previous video where I go into their conversation and why it's inspiring. Among those, I want to bring up again some part of their conversations here right now.
Do you use any other kind of traditional methods?
I think Kata is a great way to train not only just your body but your mind as well. It's something that you can never get perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously helps build technique, but body awareness, because everything from your toes up to your body's got to be in the right spot at the right moment. There's a lot of people out there that don't like Kata and think it's useless, and I think that's complete opposite. You know, a lot of people see this technique. When are you going to do that in karate? Well, you don't know. It's the bunkai. You don't know the real application.
But then when you're in that cage and you use it as a frame, suddenly it became useful.
Yes, sir. Something very similar to a high block, but I use it to defend takedowns as well.
A lot of people use it from the clinch.
Oh, yeah. This, right? Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm quoting this is because how it ties into my previous and this current video that I'm doing right now, which is about how training kata or training traditionally, or specifically training on low stances, whether static or stepping forward and stepping back, applies practically to sparring and fighting. In the previous video, I said this. If you've been following my KihonMechanics series, where I explain the body mechanics behind Kihon or karate fundamentals relating to strikes, stances, and hip rotation, you probably might have related that more to kata as opposed to kumite, sparring, or fighting. But the reality is, my plan all this while was to eventually connect all these and move towards kumite. And that was the first video directly touching that. I spoke about 6 reasons for training on low stances, whereby 5 of which are practical towards sparring and fighting. I was focusing on reason number 5, exaggerating the attributes. This current video is a second video, which focuses on reason number 6. The 6 reasons for training on low stances are tradition, leg strength exercise, multitasking, center of mass control, exaggerating the attributes, and for this one, habit control for low telegraphy. Now, a jab in karate does not look like this. Okay, it looks like this. On a static stance or on a dynamic stance, like that. And from the side, it doesn't look like this. It looks like this. On a static stance and on a dynamic stance, like that. It's called a kizami-zuki, which translates to chop punch, at least for the upper body. The lower body, the footwork, is referred to yoriashi, where translates to leading leg, meaning the front leg goes, back leg forward. Now a cross in karate, say to the head, does not look like this, or to the body, does not look like that. In karate it looks like this, say to the head, yeah? That is if it's static or dynamic. To the head, Jordan. that. If it's to the body, it looks like this in static. Or dynamic. Okay, from the sides, once again, does not look like this or this. Either looks like this or dynamic. And that is called a Jodan Gyaguzgi for upper level and Chudan Gyaguzgi for mid level. Gyago meaning reverse, Zuki means punch. So reverse punch meaning the other hand, not the front hand. A roundhouse kick in karate does not look like this for mid level or say upper level. That, or from the side. Instead, it looks more like this. That's to the mid level and upper level. So once again, from the side. From here, you can see the obvious difference between karate techniques and techniques found in boxing or kickboxing. The first thing you'll notice is the range. There will always be a lunge in an attack. If there is no lunge, it's most likely a defensive counterattack. The second thing you'll notice is the explosiveness to reach that range. Basically, how it looks like a single move rather than a series of movements to get there. This, yeah, that. Now I'm going to the Ido-shiki, that translates to movement commands, which is the stepping forward and back and changing of directions on the traditional karate stances that you would see in Kata. So this is how Ido-shiki looks like on Motorachi. We're going to do Susunde, advancing, Motorachi, foundation stance, Chudanzuki. From the front. This is how Ido-shiki looks like on Zenkutsu-dachi, bent forward stance. So we're going to do Susunde Zenkutsu-dachi Chudanzuki. From the front. And this is how Ido-shiki looks like on Koshi-dachi or cat feet stance. So Susunde Koshi-dachi Shitoke. From the front. And this is how Ido-shiki looks like on Shikodachi, square stance or rectangle stance. So we're doing Susunde, advancing Shikodachi, square stance, Geran Barai, lower sweep block. Once again, you may notice the explosiveness. If done proficiently, it will look like a single move. The next thing you may notice is how Ido-shiki and Kumite techniques looks nothing alike. So how do they relate? How does practicing Ido-shiki help with your Kumite techniques? And the connection between the two lies in the habits that you carry when you perform the techniques. When practicing Ido-shiki, apart from speed, power, stability, and structure, you should also aim to reduce the habits that would give away the movement, telegraphic habits. The prefix tele comes from Greek, meaning distance, as in television and telephone, meaning sight from a distance and voice from a distance. The suffix graphi comes from French or German graphi, or the Greek graphia, meaning description of. So, to telegraph as a verb means describing from a distance, and telegraphic as an adjective means descriptive from a distance. From Wikipedia, in sporting terminology, to telegraph is to unintentionally alert an opponent to one's situation or intentions. I'm going to give 6 common mistakes or telegraphic habits that we often see in Ido-shiki that would translate into your Kumite techniques. Now, the first bad habit is a sudden motion of the arm, or a drop or chambering of the arm before execution. So it looks something like this, that, or from the front, that. So this pullback is a chambering. It is more common drop of the arm of this mistake is actually a static punch, where they do this flick. Now, a lot of people make this mistake. They do the flick because it feels snappy. It feels like a whip, it feels strong, which is actually more of what I would call a proprioceptive illusion. But in reality, based on the trajectory of motion and the structure of the arm, it does not produce power. So, a drop, or a chamber, or a sudden motion of the hand. Second common mistake is a lean forward before execution, before movement. So this lean forward, that. As you can see from the front, even though I go fast, the lean itself gives away the movement. So from here, the final movement is fast, but the initial is a giveaway. Okay. The third common habit is another chambering, but of the rear leg. So it looks like this from the side. This. You're imagining that you need to go fast and powerful, so you chamber. So the final result at the end is a fast movement. But the beginning itself is a giveaway. I show you again. That. The fourth common mistake is a raise or a change of height before execution, before stepping forward. And it usually looks like this from the side. No. Now this does not make your movement fast, but the reason why people do this is to get the distance. They want to get the distance, it's difficult, so they feel they need to hop. They feel they need to bounce. So even it's fast, it just won't be fast. And it gives away because there's a sudden change of height. While a chambering is a sudden change of height down, raise is a sudden change of height upwards. And the fifth common mistake is an extra step with the front leg before the step forward or before the lunge forward. So that is usually like this. This. And this doesn't normally occur in a big stance, and that's one of the reasons why we train on a big stance, to reduce the probability of a practitioner stepping forward. It occurs more on a small stance, say here. Okay. So from the front is here. It's supposed to be smooth. A sudden step forward from the back leg, there. Just locks and they go there. Happens with knee Koshi-dachi very often as well. It's not supposed to do that from the front. It's an extra step. It's supposed to just drop the feet and go. Drop the feet and go. Drop the feet and go. Drop the feet, drop the heels and go. Heels and go. The sixth common mistake as a telegraphic bad habit is an extra motion of the arm before the execution of a kick. So this is specifically for a kick. And in Ido-shiki, it looks like this. Common mistake is to pull back, kick, step forward, punch, where it's supposed to be here. The hands are not supposed to move to not give away the attack. So if you see it from the front, straight away Maigiri, Chudansuki. Okay? Maigiri, Chudansuki. The hand only moves after the kick. The mistake is that. That happens on big stance as well as small stance. Notice that in all these situations, these mistakes, I'm giving away my movement even before I reach the midpoint between me and my opponent. So it's safe to assume that your opponent will either move away or move in for a send-no-send attack. Now the following is how these common mistakes in Ido-shiki translates into kumite of fighting. So for the first common mistake, an extra movement of the arm, the shoulder, or drop, or chambering. And for a generic punch, a non-karate generic punch, that would be this. This pullback, chambering. In kumite, in karate, the common bad habit is this. This drop. So if you see me from here, that's a giveaway. You want to reduce it to here, to here, straight away forward. Now, so how do we get rid of this particular bad habit? You can't just tell a fighter in the middle of a bout, change of strategy to not chamber your punch. Go. It's not going to happen. If that's how they punch, that's how they have been coordinating, that's what's going to happen for the entire fight. In order to get rid of this bad habit, we need to retrain the fighter. We have to reprogram how he coordinates his punch. And to do that, I will look at the final product, the technique of how it's supposed to be executed, and re-engineer it, break it down into a number of several isolated components, so that we train each component one by one, perfecting each component one by one. And this would serve as a perfect example of why we train our Kihon the way we do in karate. First, the final product should be like this. They might do like this. So the first thing you do is remove the lunge, remove the yoriashi. Just start here then. Naturally, if this is a habit, you're going to punch like that. So how do we train that to change, to do this instead of this? Well, start with the hand fully pulled back. Once you fully pull back, you minimize the possibility of pulling back further because it's already here. And start here. So that will help reduce the extra pullback or the chambering to go here. But right now, once again, there's too many components. There's the stance and there's the hips. So let's remove that altogether. And you start here. Fully pull back to reduce chambering. And this explains why we start off training this way. And then on Zenkutsu-dachi, this is for the multitasking of lower body and upper body. Then an actual stance where you actually need to apply the hips for the mass. And eventually change to this. And then this. And then the yoriashi. And then further full yoriashi. The second common mistake shown was the lean in Ido-shiki. And how that translates to Kumite is basically the same thing. Lean. If you have the habit of leaning forward before you go, you have the habit of leaning when you're thinking of attack, but before you actually attack. So it looks like this. That even though the final move is fast, the initial lean gives away the move. So this is with the lean. This is without the lean. Then with the lean and without the lean. So the third common mistake, chambering with the rear leg before the execution. And this is how it looks like in Kumite. For Kizami, or more commonly, Gyakuzuki. Chambering on the rear leg, even though it's fast, even though the final finish is fast, the initial move is a giveaway. One more time. That. And without the chambering, that. Without chambering, that. Common mistake number 4, a sudden raise or a change of height before the execution. Now this normally occurs with beginners who hasn't gotten used to the lunge or the yoriashi. So normally when we train our students or athletes, we train them to try to lunge in 1 meter in a single step. So from here to there, that's 1 meter. So the Kizami is again in 1 meter, we train to do that without the bad habits. Or Gyakuzuki in 1 meter, here. But because they find it very far and very difficult to reach, they will end up doing like this. In order to get the distance, they try to get the height, which gives away. So from the front, it looks like this, or this. So do not hop, move forward and drop. That's a drop. Move forward and drop. Now the fifth common mistake is an extra small step forward before the step forward, or in the case of Kumite, before the lunge forward or the yoriashi. And in Kumite, it looks like this. Or when they're bouncing, they do this. Now it looks and feels fast. The final move is fast, but the initial move gives away even before you reach the midpoint between you and your opponent. And from the front, it looks like this. Or another technique where the extra step could occur is actually a kick. So this step, that's a giveaway. The blow may be strong and the kick may be fast, but the initial move is a giveaway. That, okay? Or from the side. The last common mistake is an additional motion of the arm before the execution of a kick. So this last mistake is specific to the kick, and that would look like this. This extra motion, this extra motion, and here. Now how it's supposed to be in karate is to not move this. So the knee comes up first, and then the rotation of the hips finishes the kick and transfer of center of gravity or center of mass. So knee first, then here. The hands move last, never first. In a smooth flow, it will look like this. Or here. 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 Now this last example also serves as a perfect example on why we train our Kihon the way we do in karate. So when we do a kick in Shitoryu, we put the hand to the side and we migrate here. So this shows the instructor that I'm able to kick without this extra motion. If you can't, it will look like this. So this could be with maigiri, or mawashi-giri, or gedan tsukoto-giri, or chudan tsukoto-giri. And this also explains why we move the hand last when we are stepping forward on Zenkutsu-dachi, maigiri, chudan tsuki, as opposed to that. The correct order of motion of body parts in Ido-shiki is the same as in Kumite. And that is for your opponent not to notice you moving in until or after you reach the midpoint between you and your opponent. Or even better, to not notice you at all. And this is why we employ the feet first when moving forward towards your opponent. When moving back, however, it's torso first to keep yourself away from harm's way. To be able to move feet first in Ido-shiki, say on Zenkutsu-dachi, you must be able to lock your center of mass where it is. In order to do that, you must have the correct stance. If the heel exceeds the knee, you won't be able to lock it. Your knee has to exceed the heel. So from here, lock your center of mass where it is. Slowly move your feet forward while retaining the position of center of mass. Then transfer your whole body forward. And then your hip and your limb. Okay, so that goes back to the three momentums in my very first video. Range momentum or whole momentum, then hip momentum or mass momentum, then limb momentum or speed momentum. So lock, feet floating here, body, hips and limb and hand. 1, 2, 3. You could do that with maigiri. Lock, maigiri, balance, reach out, stay, balance. 2, 3. So fast will be in the proper sequence. From the front, it looks like this. Lock, feet, so no obvious movement from the top. Then here, this is obvious because it's the finishing blow. I've already reached the midpoint here, then come here. So from here, lock, 1, 2, 3, or lock, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, lock, maigiri, 1, 2, and 3. On speed, lock. So that's how it's done on Ido-shiki. The same principle is applied in Kumite techniques. So from here, don't show. Feet first without showing the body. Center of mass lock, feet move. So you barely notice it. This, don't show. From far away, it's quite obvious. From close, it's not so obvious when this moves only. So this, and here. This is to reach the midpoint without showing. From the midpoint onwards, transfer body, hip, and mass. 1, 1, 2. So that's how I separate it. Separated, it looks like 2. You only see the second move, not the first move. Smoothly combine. This from here, there. From the side, this is how it looks like. No transfer when the feet goes. Feet goes, body don't go. Feet float, feet goes and float, and goes. It's actually 1, 2, but the eye of the opponent sees only number 2. Because number 1 is a sneaking in and you reach first. Float, finish. But in reality, don't do that. In the reality, make it smooth. Yeah, okay? Here. Same thing with hopping when you bounce. Don't show this. Again, float, 2. 2 movements, opponent only see the second move. Smooth, yeah. To combine it really, then think of it as the knee and the elbow going at the same time. Now instead of 1, 2, advance it to 1. 1. Here, yeah. Static, yeah. Okay. Same principle. Feet first, body last, together with hips and strike. That was Kizamezaki. Let's do Chudan Yagusi. So sequence, connect, combine. Sequence 1, connect 1, 2. Combine this and this and this same time. It's almost the same time, but not entirely. Still lead with feet. But it looks like the same time as an illusion. Yeah. From here. 1, 2. 2. Finally. 1, 2. Finally. 1, 2. Okay. Same thing with bouncing. Bounce, 1, 2. Fall. Float, not hop, not jump. Float, fall. 1, 2. Sequence, connect and combine. Same thing. Sequence 1, 2. Connect, 1, 2. Combine. Combine. And again. So although when you do Ido-shiki, it's a step forward, whereas in Kumite, it's a slide forward with the Yoriashi, the principle is still the same. So thank you for watching.
To repeat, this video goes into reason number 6 of 6 reasons for low karate stances. For reason number 1 to 5, especially number 5, please watch my previous video. So please do check out that video.
If you found this informative, please give a like or subscribe. I don't do this full-time nor for money. I do this out of passion and for sharing. Your support will be very helpful.